What's up, legends? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If this is the first video you've seen, what's up? I don't know what else to say, I didn't really think that through. But welcome, good to see you here. Glad you clicked on something that got you here. Let's talk about how to maximize your results at F45 Training. So a quick background on myself for those that don't know. My name is Peter Day. I'm a hybrid athlete, I'm a fitness coach, and I own two F45 studios, which I have for nearly 10 years. So I've coached a lot of people here, and I've won the F45 Playoffs fitness competition 3 times, and I did that through training at F45 Studios. So let's talk through how you get the most out of your training each and every day so you can maximize your results. So I'm going to jump straight into it, and these are in no particular order, but these are things which either I have implemented myself and they've worked pretty well, or I've done with my own clients. So you can look at it, maybe you want to apply it to yourself, or maybe you even want to take the principle and apply it some way as well, but I'm hoping at least a couple of these can help you guys out. Now, when I'm going through these, I'm not going to talk about the F45 training itself. I'm talking about how you can maximize your results using F45. These are universal and can be applied to anything. All right, so first one, and again, these are in no order, but you want to try to make everything as easy as possible towards your goal. You want to kind of lubricate the things which help you get there faster. And on the flip side, you also want to make it hard and arduous for those things that get you away from your goals. What does this mean? It means that everything around your goal, whether it's training more often, sleeping better, training with the right people, eating better, you want to make this as easy and simple as possible. Because when push comes to shove, work gets in the way, and those weeks which just get really tough, having an easy and simple format or something which is a bit easy to get to makes it easier. A good example of this one is training in the morning versus the afternoon. Why is it that people are more consistent at training in the morning when they have kids, for example? It's because there's less distractions at that time and less things that can go wrong. You make it easier, you make it simple versus training in the afternoon. But again, like, there's no simple answer to this one. It depends what works for the person, but this is a general principle. Having somewhere which is convenient, or some way which is convenient. If you go to the gym before you get home from work because it's more convenient, then do that, because those days where it gets busy, it's going to be harder to get there. And if at the end of this one, you're only training an extra once a week, that's amazing. You're training 50 more times a year just because of a simple change of making it more convenient or something. It adds up. Fitness is accumulative, it's not an absolute. Nutrition is a great example with this one. You want to try to choreograph your day, your week, the way your kitchen's laid out, the food that you buy, to make it as easy as possible and as simple as possible to eat healthy. I know this sounds really basic, and in its most simple terms, it's something like putting the fruit on a fruit platter in the middle of the kitchen and hiding the cookies. Sounds so silly, but that extra little part of going to get the cookies makes it tough. I once implemented a rule where I could eat chocolate, but I just have to go down to the shops to buy the chocolate. The amount of times I didn't do it because I just couldn't be asked, it sounds so silly, but it works, I'm telling you. For a lot of people, making a new recipe each and every day or new meals every day is just not practical. And I get that. Like, it makes sense. You got a family, you got work, all those kind of things. So going to the other extreme, if you bought pre-made meals, which are healthy for you, that you whack in the microwave, that's actually easier than buying the meals, like when you're out, for example. So you just make it really easy. And the cool thing with those is they have the macros there. They've got the proteins in it, it's got the carbs, the fats. You can see what you're eating. You can pop it in the microwave whenever, it just goes in the fridge basically, or the freezer, and you're eating really quickly. They're actually cheaper as well often than buying foods out. You can sit somewhere in between where you pre-make your meals, so that way you just basically heat up as you go as well. Obviously it takes a bit more prep time, but if you look at both ends of the spectrum, ones make it super simple, the other one's actually really arduous. Pick somewhere that suits for you. And the thing is, there's no answer for this one, but you're just trying to make it really easy. My second point is regularly measure and check your result. One of my favorite sayings is, what gets measured gets improved. If you do want to change your body composition, checking in regularly actually helps you get there faster. It's because, number one, you're more cognizant of what's happening and the results. Number two, you're actually tracking the things that matter. And guess what happens then? You put more intensity into those things. The funny thing is, a lot of people want to look and feel really good before they get the body scan, but it becomes a scary and arduous thing the longer break they have between them. If you track things more regularly, it becomes less of an issue. It becomes less scary, which means you can actually just see how you're going over time. At the end of the day, what's the point of tracking? To get better. Take the pressure away from yourself from that one result. It's just a stick in the ground of where you are today. Who cares if you just came back from holidays? It doesn't matter. The point of tracking results is to train harder, eat better to get better results. So that means that getting your results today doesn't actually mean anything. It's just where you are today. It doesn't matter. So try to take that pressure off yourself, because I get it. You want to get good results, and I understand. Take that away. It's the same with fitness competitions. If you're training for, say, a Hyrox, and you're doing that through an F45 studio, because F45 are the new sponsor for Hyrox globally, do more regular training sessions that actually track your results for them. See how you're going in terms of the reps in the studio. See what paces you're holding on the ergs. Do the actual Hyrox event more frequently so you can actually see how you're going. Do 2 or 3 of them a year. You don't have to peak for just one event. The funny thing is when you do a few of the events, it takes the pressure away from that one being like the exam to actually seeing how you're going over time as well, which actually gives you better results anyway. So track more regularly, especially things that you want to improve. The third one I want to speak to is the actual sessions in an F45 itself, and that's the intensity. So there are only a few ways you can improve your results in any gym or any fitness studio, and it's the FIT principle, F-I-T-T. Frequency, intensity, time, and type. They're the only 4 ways you can actually get better results. The intensity, in my professional opinion, is the one which is undercooked and underutilized the most. It's also the hardest one, especially if you've been going to the gym for a little while and you're starting to plateau. Very normal, means training hard. How do you then break through that plateau? You can train more frequently, you can increase the length, you can change the type potentially, but the one which is the hardest is the intensity. The question is, how do you do it? You have to be real with yourself, and this is super tough. Training at 80% versus 95, 100%, there's a big difference in doing that. So on the roll, for example, if you're holding a 145 versus a 135, you know the difference in your heart rate's quite extreme. Using the line hearts and using heart rate technology is one of the best ways to do this one. So a good way to see this one is if you have the line hearts on, or you have something which is measuring your heart rate, check your intensity. You don't have to be redlining the whole time, but you should have times in a workout. So I know, for example, when I'm doing a cardio or hybrid session, I know there are times in the workout where I should be redlining. I know that because that's how I know I should be training. I'll pick them out. So if there are things like burpees, rowing, whatever it might be, I will choose those ones to be the ones that I'm hitting really hard. It's important because this is the only way you're really going to push your anaerobic and aerobic thresholds. That's the point of doing that one. You can be anywhere in the world and do a minute of burpees at max pace and you should be gassed. It doesn't matter where you are. Think of the intensity, how hard are you actually training, and if you want to track it, go get a line hard as well. Just changing from 85 to 95%, even a couple times a week, will significantly improve your results, and you have to be honest with yourself here. The fourth one is, and you can apply this to anything, I actually love this principle, put yourself in the position that gives you the highest likelihood of success. Now, it is one of the reasons why you're going to an F45 studio or another group training facility. It's because these types of gyms, they basically put you in a higher likelihood to achieve success with body composition and fitness. That's what it is. That's why you're going to these studios, because the training's set up for you. It's all structured. You just need to follow it, which is more likely than trying to write your own sessions, right? Like it's just the structure of it. There are coaches here which push you. So that way, gives you that little nudge, which means you're more likely to stick to things versus trying to motivate yourself every single day. That's the benefit of coming to a studio like this. You still have to do the work, if I'm being real. And the thing is, you're just trying to basically take out as much of the guesswork as possible and put yourself in those environments. So the question is, how do you do this with F45? Number one, talk to the trainers. Go to the trainers and say to them, hey, I want to be pushed. Yes, they're going to push you anyway, but the thing is, I know as a coach, when someone comes to me, hey Pete, can you push me a little bit harder? I want to lose 10 kilos by X. I fucking love it. I'm here to do a good job. You tell me how I can do a good job and how I can work better. Great. Like, I'm licking my lips. This is something which trainers love because we don't actually know what you want unless you communicate with us, and vice versa, of course. It's a two-way street, but this can help out. So you're putting yourself in that environment. Another way is the people you train in the studio with. Like, are you challenging each other? Are you having some fun with it? Like, a lot of people go to the studio to have fun, and if they have fun, they then train more often. You're just putting yourself in those environments, getting involved in the events that's happening at the studio. Like, these things do help out. Even though this particular video is about F45, it's also about the external environments, because you're only here for 45 minutes a day, right? What you do outside of here is just as important, probably more important, to be completely honest. The same can be applied for drinking, same can be applied for eating, those kind of things. Just think about the environments that you put into and make it as easy as possible. I'm not saying don't drink. I drink, it's fine. But I do try to reduce how often I drink because, again, it's not going to help you for weight loss and your fitness goals, but you need to have some fun. So think about the balance too. Like, yes, we're here to get some results, but we also want to have some fun and live our life. I think everyone can agree with that. The next one is work to the F45 session. So the way F45 training works is there is specific outcomes for the different sessions, and you'll see there's undulating times, they vary. The weights exercises might have a focus, they might have tempo. Work to these because they're put together by professionals with specific purposes. purposes. Variation with movements, timings, and tempos are some of the best ways to get out of plateaus and get great results with your fitness. It's been well researched. Good coaches anywhere should change the weights, the reps, the tempos. It's just a really great way to break out of the norm and keep your body guessing as well. So if the sets in cardio, for example, are 60 seconds versus 20, there should be a very different pacing for those. If the weights session has a focused exercise such as twofold, this is the time we can actually build up the weights and get to your max. It does allow you to overload certain muscle groups in certain times as well, which again just benefits you. So whenever you're doing the session, have a think around what we're trying to achieve in there, work to the timings, focus on compound lifts, and make sure you are getting the most out of each of the different sessions as well. Where people go wrong is they just stick to the same intensity on each of the different exercises and they might not push themselves on certain ones. Compound lifts, for example, like a squat, a deadlift, they should hurt more than an isolated movement like a lat raise. It's because of the movement. They're both important, but if you had to pick one, you pick the compound lift because it's better bang for buck. Do you know what these are, and do you know how to make the most use out of them? If you're unsure, ask the coach, because they will help you out along the way, and that way, again, you get the most out of each individual session because they all count. Number 6 is approach cardio and strength days differently. This is very, very important, and I see it done wrong frequently, so please give me the next minute or two. Cardio and weight sessions, you should have a very different feeling when you finish. At the end of a cardio session, you should feel that aerobic fatigue, that out of breath, that sweat, that kind of panting kind of feeling where you're on your knees. That's the kind of feeling you want to get to, and working with your heart rate. It's a very big goal to push your VO2 max in these cardio sessions. That's the feeling you want to get. It's different to a weights session. At the end of a weight session, you don't want to feel like that. You want to have that muscular fatigue. You want to be sore. You want to be struggling to put your seatbelt on. Like not a 10 out of 10, but you do want to have that muscular fatigue, not that physical exhaustion of out of breath. Yes, you still work your heart rate in the weight sessions, but it's a very different feeling. So the question is, how do you get that? On the weights days, this means you want to basically increase time on tension. We get that muscular pain through the actual workout itself. Slowing things down, focus on your technique is more important on these days in particular. Also, progressively overloading the exercises. Let's say you've got 4 sets on an exercise in a weight session. You don't want to get to the 4th set and almost increase your weights because it was too light. So it's actually the opposite, and I actually teach my own clients to reverse pyramid the weight, especially if you're experienced with your training. So as an example, if I'm doing bicep curls, I'm not going to start by doing 10 kilos on the dumbbells. I might start with 17s. I know I can't do this for 4 sets, but I might do 1 set, might do 2 sets, and the 3rd set I might have to drop down to a 15. And that last one I might have to drop down to a 12 because I'm so fatigued. That's good. In a weight day, that's exactly what I want, because you want to get that point where you're actually getting muscular fatigue, you're breaking down those muscle fibers, because this is how you put on muscle, which is the goal. So reverse pyramiding is a great way to think of this one. Also time on tension, which is why it's like absolutely crucial to get your weights up before the set starts. So that way you're doing the 35-40 seconds of movement, not 5 seconds to get it up. That's the quick version of it. Time on tension, slow things down. It's not the amount of reps that counts, it's the amount of muscle fibers that you break down. Very important difference. And also, the reason why technique's so important is because if I'm engaging my arms properly during a bicep curl, I'm really feeling it in there. Whereas if I'm doing a bit of a swing as I come up, I'm actually using a bit more of my shoulder too. So slow it down, big focus in technique, and think about the muscle groups you're working on too. In a cardio day, work to the timings. Shorter timings a little bit faster, longer timings a little bit slower, but again, not bludging. Those different timings and different tempos keeps your body guessing. And yes, you should have that sweaty feeling afterwards. You should be out of breath. And a good way to track that is again through the line heart there as well. But that's that really kind of that feeling you have when you have a good session where you're a bit fatigued. They are different, approach them differently, and you'll get the best results. Number 7, and this is a compliment to F45, and that is, I like to do external events outside to keep myself training hard. High rocks, Spartan, like Spartan runs, whatever. It doesn't actually matter. The reason why I like it isn't so much, let's say you did a fun run. You obviously, this isn't the best place to get better at running. For example, yes, it'll help you running out, but it's not you're not gonna win a running event just training at 45. I get that. That's not the point. The point of doing these events is to keep you motivated for training. Just signing up for a fun run, as an example, you just start training harder, and then you just start, all of a sudden you're pushing yourself even further. Hyrox has just signed with F45 globally, so this is gonna be awesome. This actually flows much better with F45 because Hyrox is basically F45 with runs in between. And it gives you a really great opportunity to test yourself out. You get scores over time, it pushes you more, and when you have that external motivation for something to train for, I find people just train harder in the studios. This kind of goes back to my other point around putting yourself in the best situation to get the best results. Why not put an external event in there as well. Again, if you're looking for that extra motivation, highly recommend it. Pick any of them. It actually doesn't matter. My favorite would probably be high rocks, but again, that's just me. You can pick almost anything which keeps you motivated, because then you can complement it with your training in here as well. And I think regardless of what it is, if it motivates you, that's the result that you want to be getting anyway. So pop some in your calendar through the year, do it with a friend, have fun with it. Don't put too much pressure on the actual times or the results. The point of it is to keep yourself motivated. And the last thing, guys, is just have fun with the whole thing. Fitness should not be boring. It shouldn't be stale. You want to be having a blast, having a laugh, enjoying it with your friends. And I think that's what it's all about. Like, yes, I want to do well with my fitness competitions, all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, you're healthy, you're doing something good for yourself, so you may as well enjoy it along the way. And that's what it's all about really at the end of the day. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this YouTube video. Feel free to share this with your studio or with someone else down below. Please subscribe to my channel as well, and more videos to come, and I'll see you guys soon.